Welcome everyone to another episode of Dynamics Corner. What's subscription and what's AI? I'm your co-host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode was recorded on December 9th, 2025. Kris. What is AI? I don't know. I don't think I can go 3 minutes without hearing about AI. But in this episode, we had the opportunity to talk about AI in development, in the future of development, along with the subscription billing model within Business Central. With us today, I had the opportunity to speak with Milan. Good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Hey.
Hi. Very well, yourself?
Doing very well. Been looking forward to speaking with you. You know, it's interesting. I just wrote a blog article about an AI vibe coding experiment that I did over the weekend.
I saw that post this morning.
Yes, I put it out there this morning. I have a Raspberry Pi. I use Pi-hole for advertising. For ad blocking, excuse me. Jeez, I'm all messed up this morning. For ad blocking, I use Pi-hole running on a Raspberry Pi. And then Sunday morning, I realized that Pi-hole has an API. And I have a little 1.3-inch OLED display that I purchased for my Raspberry Pi. For another one, I have multiple Raspberry Pis, not the Pi that's running the Pi-hole. I put the OLED display on the Raspberry Pi. And then I said, okay, I'm going to see if I can vibe code without writing one line of code, something that will pull the API, using the API, pull the statistics from the Raspberry Pi running Pi-hole and display it on the Raspberry Pi that has the OLED display. I've never programmed in Python before. Thankfully, with knowing development, I understand enough to read code. But I said, I'm going to go through this experience without writing one line of code. And it did it.
Success.
Nice. It
Nice.
knew what blew me away was I said, we need to, here's an API, here's the endpoint, here's the structure of what it looks like. And then, here's, the structure of the API, here's the API endpoint. And then here's the response because I saw it in the API documentation and I need to pull out this. So just giving it that information and telling it what I wanted to do with some prompts, it went through the whole thing of connecting through the API, getting a token, put in code to refresh the token if it needed to, then display information onto this little OLED display. It created documentation. Now, this OLED display had buttons. It even suggested, do you want to make one of the buttons be an exit from exiting the application? I was floored because it knew, and again, this little OLED displays, it's not like displaying on a monitor. You have to code to display the information. It's not just, displaying something on the screen. It's a display that you have to display the programming. And then it knew to program the buttons.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I was
And you didn't write one line of code.
I didn't write one line of code, completely prompted. And again, I did this in my house. I wasn't on anyone's, system, and we're not doing anything crazy. I have, disposable Pis. I'm working on it. And you know the best thing about it?
Yep.
What's that?
What?
It took 1 hour to complete.
Wow.
Start to finish with documentation. It will pull the API, so I don't have to open up the Pi-hole dashboard to see the statistics again. Do I look at that stuff that often? No, because it just runs. But I figured I just have a little vibe coding fun experience. And during that time, I cleaned my smoker.
Oh, you're a barbecue smoker?
Yes, my smoker, my smoker grill. Excuse me. Yes, my smoker grill. I cleaned during this process, and I was done. I started at 1500. I was done at 1600, including cleaning my grill.
That's incredible, man. That's
I was floored. And with that, before we get into talking about some of this and a little bit more during today's conversation, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I would say I started with NAV like in 2008. That's quite a few years. So now, and currently, yeah, we're all on the plane with the Business Central. So I'm working in a German company named ITC Hammer IT Consulting in a product development basically. And you could say I have yeah, more contacts with Microsoft directly than I used to recently. I'm contributing more through code. That's how I would put it. The other way, I mean, or let's say it other way. So I'm just a technical dude mostly. Yeah.
No, it's good. Technical dude. I like that. That's we'll call it a technical dude.
Yeah.
No, but you've done some interesting things. I wanted to talk with you about. One, what is your take on AI and development with Business Central?
I think I feel like probably like many people that it's picking up. I would say slowly, still slowly. I think some of us are experimenting more than the others. That's for sure. I kind of like it, how the future feels like it will look like. But I think we're still at the beginning somehow, I would say. I mean, we have seen, enormous, I would say, advance in recent months, this year. But, yeah. So you
What the
can
future looks
basically,
like.
yeah. So you get something really usable at this point of time. However, I'm not the guy that's like, or so far my experience was like that whatever I got, I had to fiddle a bit. So it was never complete story spit out of the AI. But basically, I think that's something that we should count on in the future, generally speaking.
Yes.
I think so too, and I think you hit some points. I think I had an experience I talked about at the introduction to this with Python, which is a more popular language. There's more information out there. And just throw some questions out there for discussion based upon your context. And I've been also talking with a lot of individuals within the Business Central community space, or however you want to talk about AI in development. And I've been speaking with not just technical dudes like us. I've been speaking with functional consultants as well. Do you think there's a difference in adoption between using AI when you're a developer or a functional consultant using AI for development? Because, and the reason why I'll position the question, I've been speaking with a lot of functional consultants who've been dabbling with AI development now. And as you had mentioned, the recent models working with, everyone started using Claude. I think Sonnet 4.5, they had some great results. I've been using Codex 5.0 lately. 5.1 I didn't have too much luck with. I didn't like the way that it was prompt and interacting back with me. But I've been getting better results. So it is getting better with AL. Now, I've been speaking with both developers and functional consultants. And in the conversations I've had, it seems a lot more functional consultants, because they understand the application, are doing development with AI for Business Central, creating some small applications and PTEs.
Do a poll for that.
Yeah, so that's an interesting, developing story, right? So I also see it happening, right? I wouldn't say it's really that prominent. I don't know, at least in the circle I'm moving around. But yeah, that will happen for sure to some extent. However, I see that, I think that, both sides should adopt it but I think the usage or the way how the functional consultant use it is different currently. And I think it's probably going to stay that way. I mean, it's great if they can develop something on their own, so to say. But for the moment, I don't see it, at least in my circle, happening in masses, so to say.
No, I understand. I don't think it's in masses anywhere, as well as you had mentioned. I'm curious
what kind though, like how though, Brad? Like, for example, what would be their use case? Are they just building a table and a page, or are they creating a full-on stack? Because
I've talked with them about both. And I think there's some challenges now with, even because I've been working with Business Central development as well too. And this is why I wanted to talk with you today about, and then we also have the whole Just to preface it, I have a million subscription billing questions for you too.
Yeah.
But the whole topic, we were speaking before about AI and development. I think it does depend on what you're building. And I also think it depends how you prompt it and what you understand. I'm not going to talk about some of the things that they shared with me because I don't know if anybody wants anything shared. But they were more than a little bit basic tables. The basic tables and pages, I think it has down pretty good. They had some functionality in them, and I was impressed with some of the functionality as well. And it makes me wonder. Business Central is a framework, and AI has to know the framework to develop the code. Whereas if you do something like I did, you're starting from scratch. It's like you're basically creating the framework with the language. Where AI, I think, with something like Business Central and the AI language, it's a little more challenging for the AI, right? Because you have a predefined framework that you need to develop within for functionality. So if we want to do bulk posting of documents, for example, Steve Endo did a vibe coding session. I think he did that. He did some stuff with Business Central. It has to understand the application in the context of the application for it to develop it.
But the concept is not too far different than what you did with the Pi-hole, right? You have very little knowledge of the development language, and you're able to build a full working solution for what you're trying to accomplish.
Correct.
I'm assuming they're gonna have the same approach with functional consultants who understands the application, but not so much the development coding language, and they could build a full solution.
I think you need the development for some of the more complicated stuff, but
right.
I think it shifts where development you would also need it. It almost proves to me that for development, and I've always felt this, for development, you should have a good understanding of the application so you can develop better solutions and know if you need to even develop. Because now with all the features and functionality within the application, sometimes you don't even need to make a modification or enhancement. But it comes up with the importance of understanding the application. Whereas I think, a developer wants to type code, and I think a functional consultant doesn't know how to, so they're almost limited to, okay, well, how can I talk with the AI agent to create the application?
Yeah, so I don't know if you have attended any of the, Yako, probably.
Yes.
I mean, he has interesting takes on that topic, and I kind of can identify with some, so the consultants or functional consultants might have even more insights into how the app works. So they might even, in some instances, produce better code, right, by using AI, perhaps. But actually, those developers that have future are the ones that currently have experience and can basically utilize AI properly, so to say. Whereas I would probably compare functional consultant with junior developer, I guess. Right. So
yeah.
So I think there are some challenges that are yet to be overcame, right? And they will definitely produce something, but for the moment, I don't see it happening. Actually, I think that penetration has to happen in development first. That's how I feel like.
Okay. And I've seen it create some good documentation and such as well. And, all those developers are technical dudes like us. Documentation's usually the last thing that somebody wants to do. Also, I think you really need to understand the workflow of what you're doing and then be able to do small prompts, right? It's very difficult to say, you can do it. And I've gone through some exercises of, okay, create me something that does this, and this. But it's almost better to start with the prompting of, here's sort of a background, and then step one is to do this. And step 2 is to do this, and step 3 is to do this. So it's like smaller steps instead of expecting it to be.
Yeah, actually, good point. So that's where I expect actually AI to shine for functional consultants in the first step, at least, like writing stuff down. And I think AI is really excellent at.
As a functional consultant, a lot of the things that they do is, build use case document it with, a technical design. Um, so they have a proper structure already. So if you take those proper structure from a functional consultant, which they do often, with a business case or business process in mind, I'm sure they can walk through those steps and then be able to build a solution. So they may be a little bit slower in terms of like understanding and fully grasping that, but if they understand the business case, business use, I'm sure they can go through the whole thing and vibe code it.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely support them to so to say, the other side to try it out, and then let's see what the result is.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting world that we're in. It seems like you can't go 3 minutes without hearing something about AI somewhere in the world, unless you have all external communication shut off. But I've been talking a lot more because, again, it's interesting to me to see what you can do with AL.
Is it? Do you think now is it blending the role? Because back then, in nav days, right, you have a functional consultant, they know the application, and then you hand it off to a developer, and then they work together. Do you feel like a newer or even people in this space for a long time, do you think their role is starting to blend where they could do both? Maybe complex ones goes to an actual developer.
I cannot tell for sure, but I feel like AI can bring us together somehow. That's how I feel like, because currently I feel like there is a lot of like often those two sides don't understand each other very well, generally speaking. And I think, I mean, let's talk about the normal process. There is a feature that should be developed, and some functional consultant tries to, has a lot of thoughts and have it in the head, try to put it on the paper in letters. And I mean, although he might have idea what is actually should be built, I mean, the developer might have no clue whatsoever by just looking at the thoughts that the functional consultant has put in some task or whatever. And when I see what AI can do with that, with like a pile of thoughts of functional consultants, which has a lot of experience, I think it can bring those two worlds much closer together, generally speaking, transferring thoughts to getting something faster. Let's say that way.
I think you hit it perfectly. In my opinion, I think that it is going to force developers to be more functional, and functional to be more development oriented, in turn doing exactly what you said, bringing everyone together. I think it's going to cross those roles, because I think some of the smaller development tasks are no longer going to be necessary for coding. It's going to be necessary to be able to understand the application and how to do it, because it's really pretty good now with adding a field to a page. It's really good at going through and updating tooltips. It's really good at doing a lot of those, what I call minor things, or that are nuisances in a sense for someone to do in development. Even creating an API page, right? You can say, here's the table, create an API page for this. And I've done that recently for several of those. And it does a really good job of that. So from a point of view of the developer, it's going to cut out a lot of that. So then you're going to have some of understanding the application and how to prompt it to do that. And then I think from a functional consultant, it's going to be the same way. How do you communicate this to an AI or a developer to be able to instruct them on what to do in the detail that you need to do it? So your point of bringing everybody together, it's going to bring everyone together to where I think you're going to have a lot of crossing. And it's going to be important to have a crossing, and it's the rules will change.
Yeah. I certainly hope for that, because as a developer, I see that there are developers lacking functional knowledge, and I see that AI could jump in, basically.
That's good. So have you done?
Yeah.
What type of experimenting have you done with it? Have you done much?
Well, I was thinking about what can I share in this podcast, and I realized that I basically nowadays I use it like every day. It doesn't. I mean, it has become a part of my routine, daily routine, actually. I mean, like really the stupid stuff that I don't know, I just don't Google any longer, almost.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going to have ads and AI responses, because I had a conversation with someone this morning about that same thing. Is who uses search engines anymore? I just ask AI.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what happened to me, at least. Like in last months, and in development also, right? I'm even trying to push myself to explore more, because I think I'm not in the, let's say, leading the pack. I'm just learning, so to say, and I learn every day about how to put it to the purpose. Okay.
And from the scope of AL, do you see it facilitates any of your development now?
Yeah. So like autocomplete is like there. I would probably cry tomorrow if it would go away for whatever reason. And yeah, developments, I think in the new future have more chances to utilize better rather than maintaining the base app or something like that, which is already huge. So the context is important, I would say. So I'm still switching between, do I put the effort to put the context to AI, or I do it by myself? Right. So that's still a challenge, I would say.
It is. It is, because it's tough, and that's where I'm saying, is it, the development for using AI versus a functional consultant using AI, because the developer is going to do similar to what you had said. Is it more difficult or more time consuming for me to type the context or to type the fields in the page?
Exactly. Yeah.
And put it together and then have to review it and do it. So it's an interesting world that we're in, and it's moving fast. And do I want to fast forward a couple of years? No, but I almost would like to, in a sense, just to see where we all are and what space we're in, because I've been having a lot of fun with it and getting a lot of practical use out of it as well. And I'm almost, I don't want to say afraid, I'm almost curiously awaiting to see where we end up.
We should touch upon that also. Like I also feel that there is kind of fear for, I don't know, from certain population, but I don't feel it, to be honest. I'm also like you, like hoping to see what comes next, right? So I don't have a fear that it will replace me. I don't know. I cannot explain it. I just feel like, let's do it and try to put it to use.
No, absolutely. Well, like I said, I think I do believe that it won't replace, like AI is not going to replace people. I think it will have new opportunities, but I think people using AI will replace people, because I think in some cases you will become a little bit more efficient and be able to do a better job, for lack of better terms. Again, everything has to be reviewed. I'm not saying it's going to hit everything 100% of the time, and I'm not one of those skeptics that looks for everything that AI faults. Don't get me wrong. One thing I learned in coding with AI is I commit every change. Why? Because I need to roll back, because it will go off. I was vibe coding something else just as an experiment with some other tools that I use, and it went totally out into left field and started modifying things totally outside of the context of what I wanted it to modify. So thankfully I was able to roll back to a previous commit. So that's like I said, I don't want to say it's 100% perfect all the time, but neither are people. So we just have to learn to accept it. So you do quite a bit. It's I have so many things I want to talk with you about. The AI topic, again, it's interesting to me. But the other part is recently, well, it seems, again, when you get to my age, a day, a year seems like, they all seem like yesterday. Subscription billing was added to Business Central recently, a couple versions ago. I think a couple waves ago, right? 2 or 3 waves ago.
October last year.
Yeah, 2 waves ago, right? Because we had
October,
April, 3rd wave. Yeah, 3 waves ago. So about a year ago it was added. And rumor has it, you know a little bit about subscription billing.
Yeah, so that's true. The rumors are true. So the Seahammer was the company that they say licensed this app for Microsoft, because Microsoft at some point of time figured they have something that is kind of missing. And I think they basically explored a bit what's there on the market. So I don't know the details, but at the end, it ended up choosing the solution that was belonging to the product family called Dice, actually. And I was the one that was kind of in charge of transferring this IP from Seahammer to Microsoft. And along the way, there was some technical stuff that had to be improved because, I mean, you're taking over the partner IP, partner code, which might not be 100% aligned with coding style, standards and whatever from Microsoft. So I was kind of, supporting that path of transferring the IP to Microsoft. So I was not the one that developed the whole stuff. I was involved in certain parts to some extent, but basically, yeah, that's this full story, kind of.
So with that it seems that there's been a few portions of the application that they have licensed from other parties.
Yep.
And it's, some of that stuff is not, it's not a secret. So, subscription billing was one of them that, again, was licensed from an organization you work with. I have some questions on that. And if whatever you can talk about, I'm not certain what you can and can't talk about. But so you said you worked in the process to transition it from your organization over to Microsoft so that it was within the base application. Do you do the coding in that process, or do you work with the engineers or the technical dudes at Microsoft and then they enhance the code? How does that relationship and that process work?
Yeah, so it has multiple aspects, so you do the code along the way, that's for sure, because there were simply stuff that were not aligned. And when Microsoft acquires some third-party solution, they also have something called work for hire for a while, meaning that they count on the fact that you're the one that the company they have purchased it from is the most familiar with actually what's in there and can basically they are the ones that can do the changes the fastest compared to them. So I would say initially that was done mostly by Seahammer, most of the changes. Nowadays it's starting to shift to Microsoft. We're hoping to kind of put it in or let's say bring it to that state that Microsoft can maintain it by themselves completely. We're not there yet, so we're still involved in delivering fixes and some features. However, the amount of work we are doing right now is getting lower. And I guess, I don't know, but I guess that's probably something they normally do with other vendors also.
Yeah, I assume it makes sense. And I understand what you're saying. It's for your team to work with the application for a certain period of time while it's being brought into the application, because you understand the application, understand how the application works. And then that gives the internal team the opportunity to learn the application and understand how it works, so that then they can maintain it and keep it within the realm of their workflow and their future plans for the application as well. How long did that process take to transition it from your code base, in a sense, into Microsoft? Is that something that's lengthy, or is that something that gets done rather quickly? And again, I'm not talking about the whole. I'm talking about once the point that you already knew, that it was already known that the application was going to move. The whole other, process, I don't have any interest in. I'm just interested in knowing the process from the technical aspect of it.
Yeah, so I think the talks started somewhere around 2023, when the Microsoft end of 2023, when they started looking around. We were passing some procedures that they have when they are acquiring third-party IP, and that happened somewhere in March, April 2024. And when they said, okay, we're buying it, that happened somewhere in June, July, I don't know, something like that. And then in October, it went into release. But the work is, the question is where you drew the line. When do you say it has been transfer. So if I would have to answer that question, I would say probably April this year. It came to a form when it's kind of aligned with a lot of stuff Microsoft is doing, like demo data and everything.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
But it was released in the October last year, and then we had some additional work to do in order to align it more.
I see. That's not too long. That actually sounds pretty fast.
It's not.
Yeah.
I thought it was I honestly thought the process would be a little more lengthy. Or it'd be a lengthier process to transition,
I
but
don't
you're
know.
saying
Yeah,
March
Microsoft
to
is moving
October.
fast. They are moving fast. That's for sure.
I laugh because you say they're going fast. They are going fast. It seems like every day I learn something new about the application, that a feature that was just added maybe overnight or something. I say that in jest, but the application is evolving so quickly.
But what's obvious, they try they try to identify the gaps and to fill them in. That's how I interpret it right now.
So with the subscription billing application as well, so is Microsoft handling all the support, or are they still sending some of the support over to you? They're taking it on their own?
They are taking some of them on their own, and some of them are passed to us still. I mean, that's probably obvious when you look at the repo. It's now on the BC Apps repo, so that can be checked. And I feel like it's still, I wouldn't say a lot, but quite a few stuff are in the pipeline, so to say. And I expect it to reduce some in this year. And they're still, they're also having their own support channels. And sometimes they resolve it by themselves, and sometimes we do. Yeah, but I'd say when it comes to something which, so there are also circle of knowledge kind of stuff, not only Microsoft, in all companies, they have the stuff that they know better than the others. And I would say the subscription billing is not something that's really nowadays widespread, for example, across the Microsoft. So we still get fix some stuff. The same. And I'm not sure when this will end. We hope that this will happen, I don't know, end of this year or next year. But we're still working together with Microsoft.
No, it's good that they're working together. A few more questions on this. So what about the existing customers that you had? Did you have to do a migration for them from?
Yeah. So I don't know if you have followed up the story about the subscription billing, but it wasn't extensible up until April.
In the first release, in the very first release was not extensible. I saw a lot of chatter about that because everybody likes to make chatter.
Well, we couldn't migrate them. Like all of our customers, not all, but like I think most of them right now have received an information that we plan to switch them to the Microsoft subscription billing, because it's also in their interest, because currently they pay for our app still, and subscription billing for Microsoft is kind of free for them. We have invested quite a few time in migration routines, because the apps that are now a part of Microsoft are actually not identical to what we had. They have changed, they have evolved. They might even have some other features which are not completely the same. So we had to write the code that does that, with the hope that it should be an effortless migration. And I can only say that some of our customers started this process. As far as I know, nobody is completely switched. We have, of course, customers that are starting with Microsoft subscription billing already, but the migration wave is still about to start and be finished, I guess, in the next year, 2026. That's the goal, so to say, that all of them have switched. And the problem is, of course, the current state is that, in this, Hammer has its own family of apps, which is called Dice, and it has roughly 20 apps, and they're all entangled somehow, right? So imagine that we had to isolate those two apps, which were called subscription billing and usage-based billing, to pull them out, right, in the middle of the dependency tree, give it to Microsoft, and now try to integrate all of the remaining 18 with what Microsoft has. So it was quite a challenge. So that
sounds like a challenge.
Yep. But ongoing.
No, it's you'll get there. I mean, sometimes those slow changes are good. I mean, Microsoft itself, when they work with the applications, they do a good job of moving slowly in some areas to much chatter sometimes to allow you to migrate some of those customers. We're talking about the subscription billing, and you mentioned usage billing. What is a quick overview of the subscription billing portion of it? I think I jumped right into the questions. I should have started off with what it is and what you can do with it, but there was a little assumption of me. I mean, again, I'm the technical guy, so I care more about that stuff. But what is the subscription billing feature, and what can you do with that subscription billing?
It's basically a new module that enables to manage, I hope, any kind of subscription billing inside of Business Central. It probably cannot cover everything out of the box, but that is the idea. And that means it provides the new entities inside of Business Central, like subscription header lines, contracts, and the framework for managing billing, hopefully effortlessly. I mean, without effort. And so C-Hammer has done it for quite a while, and C-Hammer has focused on IT industry companies in general, and quite a few of those customers were having like a huge amount of contracts and everything, so mass data processing was kind of an imperative. And when we come to the usage-based billing, that's a scenario where you have somebody like Companion or Microsoft giving you the usage data on the vendor side, right? And you want to import it in your system and say, okay, based on what you have gave me, like Microsoft and Companion, I'll bill my customers. So that's usage-based data. So if you do not have to use it, you can work without usage-based billing data processing, just by manually entering everything in the system. But as I said, C-Hammer has a pool of these customers that have thousands of contracts or thousands of their customers, or even working with government, and they have simply the need to process thousands of lines.
So when we're talking about a subscription, you're talking that if I have a monthly invoice for services or I have a monthly invoice for something, it allows you to set it up in the system, and then those subscription invoices would be created periodically at certain intervals, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most normal period is monthly period, like that's most widespread system. So you basically set it up, I mean, mobile, I don't know, TV, cable, whatever. And then you set up these periods, and monthly you have a worksheet that generates invoices for, I don't know how many customers you might have, or customer contracts, and that's the point. Yeah.
And then the usage-based billing is the consumption. So you had mentioned, like, from Microsoft or Companion. So if you're dealing with other services, so if it's a disk space, that may be variable. You charge per gigabyte, per megabyte, per kilobyte, whatever they're going to charge you at.
Yeah.
And then you get that monthly based upon usage. And then you could tie that into your own usage-based system as well, if you had another metric for consuming usage as well.
Yeah. So you basically import it, and based on that, you create invoices on sales side. And you can also connect it with the purchase invoices that you get from Companion or Microsoft.
Yeah. I like that. That's
Yeah. So that's not the only. I mean, there are also third parties. You probably know that, right? That also do similar job.
Yes.
And to be honest, some of them have their own strengths, and I would say subscription billing for Microsoft has its own strengths. But I mean, when you have something standard in Microsoft Business Central, it's kind of appealing to take it because you don't have to pay for it, I guess.
Absolutely.
It is appealing if it's within the base product, because of a couple of reasons. One, it continues to evolve with the base product much easier. And if it doesn't do exactly what you need, now that there's extensibility in it, as you'd mentioned at first, there wasn't extensibility, which a lot of people had some questions on, but I also understand the delay on it as well. Sometimes I think some chatters, just because it's easier to chat at, just like saying AI is wrong, instead of saying, okay, what about the AI is right? Let's focus on the what is wrong of it. I think that's human nature. But I think it's a little bit easier because then you get additional features additional features and functions within the application. You have the migration path that's much easier. I mean, anyone who has an app, again, in the app source, they usually stick with the same process, but I can see benefits to both. What it is, again, is I tell everyone, no one will ever be the only one at anything, because if somebody has a good idea,
Yep.
you bet that somebody else is going to try to do the same thing.
Competition's good.
It is. I think competition's good. Competition's important, and not everything's for everybody. It's that's why they have many different types of motor vehicles that you can purchase. There's something for everybody, right? They all have different features that appeal to other people. So, or other I think everybody knows what I mean when I said that. It's my face. And so, no, that's good. That's interesting. So what other great things have you been doing? You do quite a bit. It's very difficult to, to hammer in on a number of things that you do. You had gone to EMEA recently as well, correct?
Yep. So I went to Poznan. I presented a session about the 15 AI features nowadays that are present in Business Central. So other than that, I was recently doing something in regards to the German e-documents connector. Not relevant for you guys from US.
We still put stuff in the mail, and we still have checks. I don't understand for the life of me why the United States still does that. I can't even think of a reason other than trying to. Somebody somewhere makes money on it. That's all I have to tell you. Because
checks.
Yes, somebody somewhere is making money on checks, because I can't think of another reason for it. Although I can't tell you how many checks I write in a year. I think I have written one check in the past 2 years.
Brad, there's one thing that I had to do actually recently, where I had someone come out and service my pellet stove, and it's like, and I was ready to take my iPhone and pay this guy. It's like, no, we just take checks. Like, how about cash? Don't even take cash. Check. I'm like, what?
I don't know
find my checkbook.
I don't know who does that. I receive more checks than I write. Thankfully, when I have service here, it's either cash in a case of Corona, or or it's most technicians now will have a mobile device that has a touch on it that you can do. So we're getting more and more, but a lot of people still use checks. You said 15 features, 15 A's. So what caught me on that session, right? This is why I wanted to go to this, and there's a reason why I want to go to this. Is can you give me a quick rundown of the 15 AI features in Business Central?
Well, out of the head. So they are like.
Or even the ones you remember. Listen, I can't remember them all either.
So
but
there are those 4 built around the items, like the marketing text for start. I mean, before that there was like image recognition. That's not that famous one. Then there is item substitutes. You also have suggest sales lines. Then there is e-documents matching, bank reconciliation. Before that, you have the summary in the cards. Then you have the chat, analyze, and actually the ones that I like the most, or I have highest hope for, are the agents, and not the sales agent, which is also fine for some, I would say, business models. But I think I really have high hopes of payables agent, generally speaking, because I tried it, and for SMB, which Business Central is meant for, I think it has a good perspective, to say. So I just before preparing this session, I just threw some random invoice I had, and I was like, let's see whether it recognizes anything. And I was like, wow, like I got something on email, which is a PDF, and I get it posted in like without any data exchange definition or whatsoever.
I think you're right. The payables agent is maybe underrated in terms of usage, because in many cases you deal with almost the same vendors every time. And so it's easier for it to learn of the type of invoices that you will receive via email. versus versus the sales agent, which is you can have a ton more random invoices or orders, order information. But the payables agent, I think it's a great fit for a lot of organizations that, I mean, everybody handles with a vendor, right? So yeah, you're right. It's a great call out on the payables agent.
Yeah, it's still not. It's still in preview. However, they are trying to push it to the, RTM. How would you say that? So basically, to be publicly available, not in preview mode any longer. And I'm looking forward to. I mean, there are some. I think why they are trying to. I mean, that's what they said. That why they are trying to put it in public as soon as possible, because they're hoping for the feedback. What should be improved?
Yeah.
That is a key. And I say this to everybody. It's important to get something out there because you get the feedback. It's almost like if you tell somebody, okay, give me your ideas of what features and functionality. I could just picture the conversation because we could have it here. Give me some ideas for purchase and payables agent. And everybody would just be quiet. Right? Everybody go nothing. But you release one, they'll say, why doesn't it do this? Why doesn't it do that? So it is good to get something out there. And then also, you know what to invest your time in as well, because if you don't have feedback for usage or features, you could delay or take time because you're doing something and you may have this big portion of it that you think extremely important because everything's a good idea. And this is just for any development cycle, not just the purchase and payable agent. I'm using it as an example. You could spend weeks on a feature that nobody ever even uses. And then you may be missing a feature. You may be missing a feature that's extremely important. So that feedback is important on there as well.
The thing is, I was like, before these AI ages, so to say, I was wondering how to, get a PDF from email processed, and either you would reach out to Power Automate, or I mean, there is also functionality that you can call from Outlook. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. It's a add-on for add-in for Outlook, so that you can also process PDF documents and put them in inbound incoming documents, and it worked. But I think this is another level. I really hope it will be another level, and it looks like it promises a lot, I would say.
Yeah, I wonder for all the people that have ever used Power Automate to do that, will eventually switch and just use the payables agent.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I will see. The other agents are also coming, so they might, introduce some new.
We're going to be in the world of agents. Do you name your
Copilot
agents?
agent.
Sorry?
Do you name your agents?
Do I name my agents like my personal name or what?
No. When you're working with an agent, right? Do you name them?
Like my.
When you're having for your AI agents, would you name them when they're doing work?
Oh,
I started talking to mine. I have better conversations with my agents than I do with people sometimes.
Yeah, if you tell them what's their name, they will remember it. I know that for sure. So I
haven't told them their name. I just
you give them their name. The moment you give them their name, they become a little bit more personable, right?
Right.
I'm doing that in my. I'm going to have a good agent file, and I'm going to say your name is.
Going exactly. Forward. And it goes to the agent memory. So mine, for example, I use like all bunch of them. I tried them all, but the GPT one, my daughter gave him the name, and it's Cuscu. So that's the current name of my agent. And he also responds like that, like I'm Cuscu, and I'll deliver you the answer. So try it out.
That's it. As soon as we're done with this, I'm going to set up, and I'll have multiple agents depending upon how I feel.
Give them names.
Who I want to talk with. That. See, a lingering question I have. I just throw this out there for conversation. I was thinking about it on my run the other day. Thankfully, I've been able to run again. And with all of these agents doing all of this work, what is that going to do to licensing? Because the agents are going to be able to do work of users. Licensing today is based on user subscriptions. I know you can pay by usage with the agents, right? That's how the premise is going to be, that there's going to be a fee for the use of the agents. Yep. But I think there's going to be a big shift from user licenses to how these agents are going to be licensed. So I'm curious to see how that licensing model works out and how you charge for it. Again, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not suggesting or asking anybody what their answer is, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would simply, I would suggest anybody who wants to try it out, because when you get a Business Central tenant, you get a small amount that you can use, like a couple of processes, and then you're done. For agents, the agents are the only one that are built right now by Microsoft. So I would just say, that would be my suggestion. If you want to try it out and to try to use it in real life, go with the pay-as-you-go subscription. Connect it to your environment, and check out how much it consumes. So
and put a budget on it.
Yeah. For sure.
The most important thing you can do is put a budget on it, because
it's true. But let's talk about, as an example, for payables agent. I don't feel like, it depends on the company size, of course, but like that's like handful of people doing that, and it also depends on the volume of the purchase invoice that you might get. But I think anything like double or three figures invoices shouldn't be that much pain cost-wise, and the people would be happy with the end result, hopefully.
I would say, that's all the new stuff this year. So the agents. Kris, you mentioned Copilot agent. I think I heard you say.
Yeah, Copilot agent, right? So like being able to add that as part of your business decision of creating sort of your own agent that interacts with Business Central. Because I think that's where it's going. I mean, they're Microsoft's pushing that very, very hard, and I'm sure it's not a secret about the MCP servers, and I know AJ has done this, and I've dabbled it, for quite some time, is interacting with the MCP server for Business Central with Copilot, build a full solution in like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, and then also call in email. You had mentioned about interacting with Outlook and be able to do more than that. It's just a few prompts and connecting it and nothing else. It's pretty straightforward. So the ability for you to create an agent for a specific use case that's repeatable, and then have it interact with all the different applications that you have, not just Business Central, but you can also create a record in Business Central and fully interact with it. And then at the same time, connect it with the other Microsoft applications and beyond is a huge benefit for the SMB space that don't quite have, the budget of enterprise level. So if you look at it from that perspective, it helps it create a level playing field for their growth.
Yeah, I think, however, we're talking about the Copilot Studio in general, right?
Yeah, Copilot Studio in general, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're yet to see what the application will be, because I have a feeling, that's my feeling currently, that it's not that widespread yet. Talking about the Business Central, people mostly stay inside of Business Central, and Copilot Studio means you're building an agent which is attached to, I don't know, website or some other channels. And I'm curious to see, and MCP is also, is it in preview already or not? I'm not sure. I think it is.
It's preview, yeah.
It is in preview, and it's in 27.2, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 27.2. That's correct.
So 27.2, you can work with it.
Yeah, so I think let's see next year what will happen, because I'm interested to see use cases actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It's the adoption is usually going to be tough, because you're trying to find where in your business would this fit, right? And in using that on kind of a day-to-day. So adoption is going to be a little bit interesting, where people are going to be using it for sure.
So if we don't know, I am sure AJ will know.
Yeah. Even he had mentioned about the computer use agent, where it looks at the screen of your computer and it will just read the context of your screen. So I think that's why it's important for that use when you have tooltips on your business application. So you no longer need a true API. That's what the computer use agent does is that there's no API needed. It just looks at the context of what you have on your computer. So if you design an application in Business Central, you have very good tooltips, it's going to understand that context in the screen and interact with it.
Do you know, I remember when the modem, you know, when I could buy a 1200, 2400 baud modem, and that was a big thing, and I had CompuServe email.
CompuServe.
And I remember when the cell phone was created. I really want to go back to those times. I think
Simple times.
you know, I'm listening to you both talk about all this, and I'm just like, wow, it's just you know, those movies back from the 60s and 70s talking about the, you know, the futuristic space future weren't too far off.
Yeah. So at start, I had a feeling like I'm not sure what the future comes, right? And I wasn't sure about whether it's good or bad for me. But right now, I have a feeling it cannot pass by me with me like ignoring it, right? So it's going to hit everybody actually.
Yeah.
Yes. It's yes. You said that well. It's not going away. It's a good time to take a look at what's available. Again, you don't have to rush. You don't have to use it just to use it. As you talked about, like the use cases, come up with practical use cases. I know with myself, I had to start small, like very small, simple things, not create an application. And I'm not even talking just development. I'm talking because you had mentioned you use it with your daughter and ChatGPT and talking with them about stuff. But I started very, very small. And now I have a better understanding of it and I can know where to apply it.
In generality, though, I think people don't realize indirectly they're already interacting with AI. I mean, we mentioned like I don't Google anymore. You're right. I still go to google.com to Google stuff, but it summarizes for me. And then you can turn it into AI mode, which you have a full chat.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't have to Google and search which the first thing that comes up on the list of among different links. It just summarizes it for you, saves you time.
I remember when that was invented, by the way. Search engines. You know, search engines used to be pretty much manual, where people had links and pages and these are the sites. Like I'm telling you, my poor brain has gone through a lot. But to your point, Kris, see, I think of all these things now. It's I don't know, maybe that's a sign of being old. You start reminiscing. I think everybody uses AI a lot more than they think. Like you said, it's not just in the search engine, but even like customer support. I saw a statistic on one large software company, and it really stuck out that they get like 30. It's a large software company, enterprise software company, and it's not Microsoft with Business Central. I saw this statistic. It was one of the other ones. They had 35,000 support requests, of which 30,000 were answered by AI. 5,000 required a human. That's impressive.
That is impressive. That's probably them asking for a human at that point, right? It's like, God, I understand this is AI.
Or whatever, you went through it. Or again, it might have been, you know, speak to a person or something, but this is the world we're in where I bet you a lot of your customer support type requests are handled by AI.
I will say, just to go back into the enterprise level in our space, I did have a conversation with two individuals that are similar industry. They're tech guys like us, but they're in a different world. One worked in Amazon and the other one works at Oracle. And so we were having a conversation about AI and using AI as kind of a day-to-day routine. And surprisingly, the two of them said that I haven't really dabbled into it as my day-to-day. So it's, again, I'm living in this the Microsoft world where like everything's thrown to its Copilot. They even advertise now, and I watching Monday Night Football the other day. Copilot by Microsoft was marketed, but from hearing it from two different places, they said, and they're both tech developers, and they're like, we don't really use it, but we don't. It's not part of our daily routine. So that was surprising to me.
Yeah.
Surprising.
So that's like a story with electrical cars and tuk-tuks in Southeast Asia, right? So like you're gonna have electric cars across the developed world, but you'll still have a lot of tuk-tuks
Yeah.
somewhere around. So it's
It'll come. It takes time to adopt, and then eventually everybody will have it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I could speak with you for a long time. We'll have to have you on about some of these other topics. There's more topics I wanted to talk with you about, but we do appreciate you taking the time you spent to speak with us today, because any time you spend with us, you can't spend doing something else, and time truly is the currency of life. So we do appreciate you and all that you do, and you do some great things as well. If anyone would like to have some more information about subscription billing, about AI with Business Central, or any other the great things that you do, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Well, I would say maybe email. I don't know. Haven't thought about that. So will you put the email somewhere, or I don't know how to...
Yes. If the guest
blog,
intake form,
maybe even better idea is our blog. So there is a contact form. I have a blog, like it's Miljan RS, point RS. So just drop me a line and I'll respond. If you have my email or Teams, you can also reach me out, or public repost from Microsoft, whatever.
Excellent. Thank you, Milan. And we'll put your contact information within the show notes of this. And we look forward to speaking with you soon. And hopefully I get to see you at one of the upcoming events.
Yeah, I hope so. I had fun. Thank you guys for your time.
No, thank you very much. I'll talk with you again soon. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Kris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is Matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.